The Zevarian Empire. Greatest warriors of the Orion Spur, conquerors of 12-star systems, bipedal nightmares with exoskeletons that could deflect primitive projectile weapons and muscles dense enough to punch through reinforced durasteel. We're basically walking tanks with attitude problems and a government. And yes, I'm one of them, Commander Linthra Zev Karos of the 9th Battle Fleet. You may applaud now. Oh wait, you can't. You're human. Your pathetic bone structure would shatter from the effort. It's been 6 standard cycles since we discovered the humans. We discovered being our polite term for stumbled across while looking for actually valuable planets to conquer. In their homeworld, Earth, they call it, how quaint, orbits an unremarkable yellow star in a backwater sector no respectable species would vacation in. The first contact team nearly died laughing when they saw humans. Soft, fleshy creatures with no protective carapace, minimal natural weapons, and physical strength that wouldn't impress a Zevarian hatchling. Their fastest runners move like elderly Frobnians with joint problems. Their strongest can barely lift what our children carry to school. Simply put, they were born to serve. The Imperial High Command's official classification for humans reads, Class 3 servant species, physically inferior, moderately intelligent, suitable for basic labor and entertainment. We were generous including moderately intelligent. They still use combustion engines for Zev's sake. Commander Linthra, your transport awaits. My aide, Sub-Lieutenant Drakos, interrupts my musings. I nod and rise from my command chair, towering over him at my full 3 meters of height. My battle record speaks for itself: 37 arena victories, 14 planetary campaigns, and not a single defeat. My carapace bears the ceremonial gold inlays marking me as undefeated, a walking legend among a species of warriors. Is everything prepared for the crashed tournament? I ask, my mandibles clicking with anticipation. Yes, Commander. All 17 participating species have submitted their champions. The betting pools are heavily in your favor, as always. Of course they are. The annual Crash Tournament isn't just sport, it's politics by other means. Each recognized species sends its greatest fighter to demonstrate their value to the Galactic Council. Winners gain favorable trade agreements, colonization rights, and the all-important status boost. Losers, well, losers serve the winners. It's a beautifully simple system. This year marks the first time humans have been invited to participate. Not that they had a choice. After their pathetic military resistance crumbled in less than 1 planetary rotation, the surrender terms were quite specific: provide resources, labor, and participate in our cultural traditions, including crashed. Poor creatures. Sending them into the arena is practically a mercy killing. My transport glides toward the Grand Arena, a massive structure orbiting Zevar Prime. Built from the hulls of conquered warships, it symbolizes our dominance. 500,000 spectators will watch today as I demonstrate, yet again, why Zevarians rule this sector of space. Commander, the human delegation requests an audience before the matches begin, Drakos says, his tone suggesting the absurdity of such a request. I laugh, a sound like stones grinding together. Granted. I should at least see what pitiful specimen they've offered as sacrifice. The humans likely hope for mercy. Perhaps they'll beg for a quick death for their champion. I'll consider it. I'm nothing if not magnanimous in victory. After all, when you're at the top of the galactic food chain, you can afford to be generous to the morsels beneath you. Commander, Drakos adds with what passes for a smile among our kind, rumor has it they've actually been training their champion. As if it would make a difference. The entire command deck erupts in laughter. The idea of humans training to match Zevarian might is like watching an insect lift weights. Adorable, really, in a pathetic sort of way. The Crash Tournament begins in 6 hours. Another victory to add to my record. Another species to know its place. Some days, being the apex predator of the galaxy gets almost boring. The processing center reeked of disinfectant and fear. Rows of humans stood in examination lines, their pathetic attempts at dignity almost amusing. Most trembled when I entered. Smart reaction, really. My kind tends to have that effect. "Commander Linthra, we've prepared the selection as requested," said Facility Director Grun, bowing so low his head plates nearly touched the floor. 20 specimens, all meeting minimum physical requirements for arena combat. I snorted. Minimum requirements? For humans? So they can walk and breathe simultaneously? The gathered officials chuckled obediently. Sycophants, the lot of them, but useful ones. I stalked down the line, evaluating each human with deliberate slowness. Most avoided eye contact. A few wept silently. One urinated involuntarily as I leaned in to inspect him. Disgusting creatures with their leaky biological functions. And then, at the end of the line, something different. This human stood perfectly still. Not the frozen stillness of terror, but the practiced immobility of a predator. His breathing was controlled, measured. While the others sweat profusely under the processing center's harsh lights, this one remained oddly dry. His eyes tracked my movement with unnerving precision. "This one," I said, pointing a clawed finger at him. "Information." Director Grun fumbled with his data tablet. Specimen 7294. Human name, Darius Reed. Captured during the resistance cleanup on the colony world New Haven. No significant biological anomalies. No registered skills beyond general labor. Strange. Something about that assessment felt incomplete. His muscle tone spoke of systematic training, not the soft flab of most humans, and those eyes cold, calculating, observing. "You, slave, what combat experience do you have?" I demanded. The human, Darius, responded in a voice devoid of inflection. "None that would concern you, Commander." The sheer audacity. I backhanded him across the face, my claws drawing thin lines of red across his cheek. To my surprise, he didn't stagger. He adjusted his stance minutely and absorbed the impact. Most humans would be sprawled across the floor from such a blow. "Check again," I ordered Grun. "This one has military training." Grun looked nervous. The initial scan showed no significant military cybernetics or augmentations. Standard human baseline. I leaned closer to Darius, my mandibles inches from his face. "What were you before we civilized your species? Some kind of soldier?" That's when I noticed the tiny scar behind his ear, nearly invisible unless you were looking for it. Military neural interface port, outdated by our standards but advanced for humans. Interesting. "Just a worker bee," Darius said with the ghost of a smile, "like all humans." His calm demeanor ignited something primal in me. I spat directly in his face, the acidic saliva of my species burning slightly where it touched his skin. "You're less than nothing," I hissed. "Just another slave for the arena." He didn't wipe the spittle away, simply blinked once, slowly, and said, "Looking forward to it, Commander." That's when I decided. This one. For my pre-tournament exhibition match. The crowd will enjoy watching me dismantle him. As the guards led him away, I noticed something odd about the way he moved. Efficient, economical, almost like he was conserving energy. Preparing. "Director," I called over my shoulder, "what was the occupation listed in his capture file?" Grun checked his tablet again. "Just says government contractor. Some sort of civilian administration position, presumably." How strange that such a mundane background would produce such an unusual specimen. No matter. In the arena, all mysteries are solved with blood and bone. The pre-tournament banquet was exactly what you'd expect when you gather the galaxy's most dangerous warriors and politicians in one room and barely contained chaos with expensive beverages. Admiral Krozak raised his fermentation chalice. To another glorious crash tournament. May the strongest prevail. Meaning, of course, U.S. Zevarians. We always do. The gathering of commanders and officials buzzed with anticipation. Representatives from 17 systems mingled awkwardly, each pretending they had a chance at victory. The Moldarians were bragging about their new champion's acid glands. The Volturi delegates whispered about their fighters' telekinetic abilities. Like bringing a knife to a nuclear war. Commander Linthra purred Ambassador Threx of the Sylvani Confederation, her feathered crest fluttering in what her species considered attractive. I hear you've selected a human for your exhibition match. Rather unconventional, isn't it? I laughed, spraying droplets of my drink across a nearby server drone. The crowd expects a show before the real tournament begins. What better entertainment than demonstrating exactly why humans belong in service positions rather than combat? And if the human surprises you? Asked Grand Marshal Vrex, the oldest and most decorated Zevarian present. The room fell silent. Questioning a commander's combat prowess was practically treason. I clicked my mandibles in amusement. With all respect, Marshal, I could defeat this human while molting. In fact, I've scheduled the bout to last precisely 3 minutes for spectator enjoyment. The actual combat should take approximately 30 seconds. The betting pools agree with your assessment, offered Finance Minister Drux, examining his data terminal. Current odds, 10,000 to 1 against the human. Though curiously, someone has placed a substantial wager on the human surviving longer than 1 minute. Probably another human, I scoffed. They're sentimental about their own kind. Meanwhile, in the lowest level of the arena complex, Darius Reed performed his preparation ritual with methodical precision. Push-up. Breathe. Push-up. Breathe. The holding cell was designed to break spirits, cold, damp, and illuminated by flickering lights programmed to prevent sleep. Psychological Warfare 101. Amateur Hour. Pull up on the ceiling pipe. Breathe. Pull up. Breathe. Through the walls, he could hear the arena announcers warming up the early crowd, their amplified voices carrying through the ventilation system. And before our main event, we have a special treat for you lucky spectators. Boomed a voice like gravel in a food processor. That's right, Garan X. Commander Linthra herself will demonstrate proper Zevarian combat techniques on a real, live, human. I almost feel sorry for the squishy pink creature, Zlank. Should we start taking bets on how many pieces it will be in when our champion is finished? Be careful now. Some of our more sensitive viewers might be eating. Though I hear humans make excellent fertilizer when properly pulverized. Raucous alien laughter echoed through the complex. Darius simply continued his routine. Stretch hamstrings. Breathe. Stretch quadriceps. Breathe. A guard banged on the cell door. Enjoying your last moments, slave? Commander Linthra has never left an opponent alive in an exhibition match. Darius paused, then slowly rose to his feet. For the first time since his capture, a slight smile crossed his face. There's a first time for everything, he said quietly. The guard's translator must have malfunctioned, because he simply sneered and walked away. Darius closed his eyes and continued his mental preparation. 20 years of special tactical operations training compressed into 30 seconds of applied violence. The cosmic joke was about to deliver its punchline, and only he knew what was coming. From my preparation chamber, I could feel the vibrations of 500,000 spectators stomping their various appendages in anticipation. The grand arena of Zevar Prime, our empire's crown jewel. A perfect circle of impossibly strong transparent steel suspended in orbit, offering both combatants and spectators a view of the planet below. Nothing quite like fighting to the death with a planetary backdrop. It really adds that special something to the occasion. My ceremonial battle armor gleamed under the preparation room lights, 15 kilograms of laser-etched platinum over chassis-grade durasteel, at each plate inscribed with the names of fallen opponents. I'd need to find space for one more insignificant name after today. My weapons rack displayed an assortment that would make a museum curator weep. The ceremonial lightning glaive of House Zev, passed down through 12 generations, a molecular edge throwing discs that could slice through battleship hull plating, and my personal favorite, pneumatic crushing gauntlets capable of pulverizing granite into powder. Decisions, decisions, decisions. 2 minutes, Commander, announced my preparation team leader. I selected the crushing gauntlets. Seemed appropriate for squashing a bug. The arena doors parted, releasing a wave of sound so powerful it would rupture human eardrums. Fortunately, Zevarians evolved on a planet with frequent sonic booms. The announcer's voice boomed across the massive space. Entering now, the undefeated, the unstoppable, the apex predator of the galaxy, Commander Linthra Zev. I strode onto the battle platform, illuminated by converging spotlights. The transparent steel floor beneath me displayed my combat statistics, victories, and kill count in 70-meter holographic numbers. My image appeared on massive screens surrounding the arena, each capturing my likeness from different angles. I raised my gauntleted hands, and the crowd's roar intensified to near structural damage levels. And now the announcer continued, his voice dropping comically, the human. The opposite doors opened with deliberate anticlimactic timing. No music, no light show, no statistics worth displaying. Darius Reed walked out unescorted. They hadn't even bothered with restraints. What would be the point? He wore the standard issue arena coverall for lesser species, a plain gray garment designed to absorb bodily fluids without staining the arena floor. His feet were bare. He carried no weapons. The contrast was ludicrous. Me, resplendent in battle regalia representing the pinnacle of Zevarian engineering and artistry. Him, practically naked, with nothing but the pathetic muscles evolution had granted his species. The crowd's reaction shifted from thunderous applause to mocking laughter. Several threw food items that splattered near the human. Arena drones captured close-ups of his face, projecting it on the massive screens for everyone to mock. The announcer didn't help. Ladies, gentle beings, and assorted consciousness matrices. Please contain your expectations for this preliminary exhibition. We've been advised that human remains can be somewhat toxic to certain species. So please utilize the complimentary splash guards under your seats if you're in the first 10 rows. More laughter cascaded through the arena. Food continued to rain down near Darius, who simply stood motionless in the center of his platform, eyes fixed on me. Not frightened, not angry, just waiting. For some reason, a shiver ran along my dorsal plates. The ceremonial tone rang through the arena, a deep resonant note that silenced the crowd. Battle time, finally. I rolled my shoulders, feeling the satisfying click of my exoskeletal plates aligning perfectly. The crushing gauntlets hummed with power, their internal mechanisms primed and eager. This would be brief but entertaining. Perhaps I'd start by shattering one of his limbs? The crowd always enjoyed a good dismemberment. Begin, thundered the announcer. I advanced casually across the platform bridge connecting our two starting positions. No need to rush. The human remained motionless, his stance neutral, hands at his sides. Was he paralyzed with fear? How disappointing. Run, human, I called out, my translator broadcasting in standard Galactic. Give the crowd a show before you die. Nothing, not even a flinch, just those eyes, tracking my movement with unsettling precision. The crowd began to murmur. This wasn't the panicked scrambling they expected from a human. Where were the tears? The begging? The crowd had paid good credits to see human terror, and this one was being stubbornly composed. Fine. I'd make him scream. I lunged forward with a speed that had overwhelmed countless opponents, my right gauntlet sweeping in an arc that would connect with his rib cage. A simple opening move, designed to crack bones without killing immediately. The crowd anticipated the wet crunch of human bones. It never came. One moment the human was standing there, the next he simply wasn't. My gauntlet swept through empty air, throwing me slightly off balance. Something touched the back of my neck. No, impossible. Nothing moved faster than a Zevarian in combat. Nothing. Yet somehow the human had slipped inside my guard, positioning himself in my blind spot. Before I could process this violation of established combat physics, his hand pressed against a specific point where my carapace joined my neck plates. Pain exploded through my nervous system. My own biology betrayed me as my exoskeleton locked in defensive rigidity, a survival mechanism designed to protect Zevarians from apex predators on our homeworld. A paralyzing defensive response no non-Zevarian should know about, much less be able to trigger manually. I tried to turn, but my body wouldn't respond. Suddenly airborne, I watched the arena rotate around me as the human executed a perfect leverage throw, using my own body weight against me. The arena floor rushed up to meet my face with terminal velocity. Crack. My ceremonial faceplate shattered on impact. Dazed but conscious, I forced my limbs to respond through sheer willpower. No human defeats a Zevarian commander. I began to push myself up, only to feel precise pressure on 3 specific points along my spine. My muscles spasmed uncontrollably. The arena had fallen deathly silent. 500,000 beings watched in disbelief. The human moved with surgical precision, each strike targeting neurological weak points in Zevarian anatomy that were classified at the highest Imperial security levels. How could he possibly know? A precise strike to my primary sensory cluster sent blinding pain cascading through my neural network. Another to the secondary motor cortex controller beneath my arm joint. A third to the tertiary balance node at the base of my skull. Systems failing. Vision blurring. Through the haze of pain and humiliation, I caught glimpses of the arena screens. My face, contorted in agony and shock, broadcast for all to see. And behind me the human, his expression unchanged, methodically dismantling the greatest warrior of the Zevarian Empire with nothing but his bare hands. In desperation, I activated the emergency power surge in my crushing gauntlets. If I could just grab him once, I'd reduce his body to organic paste. The human saw it coming. Of course he did. He stepped inside my swing, redirecting my arm's momentum while simultaneously delivering a precision strike to my central nervous cluster. A kill spot so secret even most Zevarians didn't know it existed. My legs buckled. The mighty Commander Linthra, terror of 12 star systems, collapsed onto the arena floor like a discarded puppet. I lay there, paralyzed but conscious, forced to endure the greatest humiliation possible, defeat while fully aware. The arena chronometer displayed the brutal truth. 28 seconds had elapsed since the starting tone. The human stood over me for precisely 2 more seconds, his eyes meeting mine. No triumph, no celebration, not even acknowledgement, just a clinical assessment to confirm I was neutralized. Then he simply turned and walked away, back toward his entry door. No victory gesture, no roar of triumph. Not a single word spoken throughout the entire encounter. The silence in the arena was absolute. 500,000 beings, stunned into speechlessness, trying to process what they had just witnessed. After 30 seconds of combat, everything we thought we knew about humans had changed forever. The silence lasted exactly 7 more seconds before the arena erupted into absolute chaos. Half the crowd surged toward the exits in blind panic. The other half pushed forward for a better view, convinced they must have missed something. Surely there was some trick, some technology, some explanation beyond a human just demolished our greatest warrior with his bare hands. The announcer's voice cracked as he tried to regain control. Ladies and gentle beings, please remain calm. Medical teams are on site. Indeed, Zevarian medics swarmed the arena floor, their emergency hover gurneys zooming toward my broken form. Security forces formed a perimeter, weapons trained on the human who had calmly seated himself cross-legged at his starting position, eyes closed as if meditating. In the Imperial viewing box, total pandemonium reigned. Admiral Krozak bellowed for explanations, while Finance Minister Drux frantically calculated the catastrophic betting payouts. Grand Marshal Vrex alone remained silent, his ancient eyes narrowed thoughtfully at the arena floor. "This is impossible," sputtered Ambassador Threx, her feathered crest fully erect in agitation. "Humans are categorized as Class 3 servant species. Their physical capabilities were thoroughly documented." "Apparently not thoroughly enough," rasped Marshal Vrex, silencing the room with his gravelly voice. "The question now becomes, was this specimen an anomaly, or have we fundamentally misunderstood humans?" The question hung in the air like a plasma grenade with its safety disengaged. Security Minister Drazak finally asked the question everyone dreaded. If they can do that, why have they been allowing us to treat them as servants for 6 cycles? No one had an answer. But everyone suddenly felt very, very vulnerable. In the arena's medical bay, I regained consciousness gradually, awareness seeping back through layers of pain and sedatives. My entire exoskeleton felt like it had been removed, pulverized and haphazardly reassembled by blind grubworms. "Commander Linthra," a voice called. "Can you hear me?" I managed a weak mandible click of acknowledgement. Chief Medical Officer Thraz swam into view, his face uncharacteristically grave. "You have suffered 17 distinct fractures to your exoskeleton, significant internal hemorrhaging, and severe neurological system trauma. We've stabilized your condition, but full recovery will require at least 3 standard cycles." Impossible. No opponent had ever damaged me that severely. Not even the Kroll Hive champion with its acid-tipped tentacles. "The human," I croaked. "What technique? What technology?" Thraz looked uncomfortable. Preliminary scans detected no technology, implants, or augmentations. And the technique, he hesitated, appears to be something called Krav Maga blended with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and several other human combat systems, specifically adapted for Zevarian physiology. My pain-addled brain struggled to process this. Adapted, for that's impossible. Our physiology is classified at the highest security levels. A new voice entered the conversation. "Not as classified as you believed, Commander." Grand Marshal Vrex walked slowly into view, his ancient carapace bearing the scars of countless battles from our species' early expansion era. "Marshal," I attempted to rise, protocols of respect overriding my injuries. "Stay down, Commander," he ordered. "What happened today changes everything. The High Council is in emergency session. The human diplomatic contingent has submitted a formal reclassification request, backed by rather compelling evidence." He gestured toward a nearby holo-screen. The screen displayed security footage from multiple human detention facilities across our empire. In each one, the supposedly docile servants moved with the same controlled precision I had witnessed in the arena. They weren't struggling against their conditions, they were studying us, analyzing, waiting. "What are they?" I whispered. "They're not what we thought," replied Vrex. "Their diplomatic representative has just informed us that the human you faced, this Darius Reed, was formerly Captain Darius Reed of something called Earth Special Forces Command, Xenobiological Adaptation Division, a unit specifically trained to combat non-human physiologies." My head spun, and not just from the injuries. "They sent him here deliberately? To lose? To be humiliated and enslaved?" Vrex nodded gravely. "All to demonstrate exactly what happened today. Their official statement claims they wish to correct misperceptions without unnecessary bloodshed. The human could have killed you, Commander. He chose not to." The implications crashed over me like a tidal wave. What we had perceived as submission had been strategic patience. What we had interpreted as weakness had been calculated restraint. "There's more," Rex continued. The humans have revealed that their homeworld, which we believed we had largely subjugated, represents less than 2% of their total military forces. The remainder have been held in reserve, awaiting the outcome of this demonstration. The holoscreen shifted to show massive human fleets, previously hidden behind their gas giants and asteroid belts. Ships with designs we'd never encountered. Weapons that made our fleet's armaments look like children's toys. They're demanding immediate reclassification to Class 1 autonomous species status with full diplomatic recognition, Rex said. The Council is voting as we speak. I suspect it will be unanimous. I closed my eyes, the full magnitude of our miscalculation finally dawning on me. And the human, Darius Reed? Currently being escorted to the diplomatic level. By request, his security detail consists of the same guards who previously supervised his detention. Rex allowed himself a rare, clicking laugh. You should see them now, Commander. They look like hatchlings meeting a legendary warrior, terrified and awestruck simultaneously. 3 days later, from my medical recovery chamber, I watched the formal signing of the human Zevarian non-aggression pact. Our official species classification records had been updated with a new warning: Humanity Class 1 autonomous species, deceptively dangerous. Physical capabilities subject to extreme variation. Approach with diplomatic caution. As it turns out, we weren't the apex predators of the galaxy after all. We had just never met the real ones until now. And the most terrifying part? They'd been among us all along, watching, learning, and waiting for exactly the right moment to show us exactly who they really were. Without saying a single word,